What is going on, guys? It's your boy here again, Dean, and I'm finally giving you guys some of the Idolmaster deck text, and this is the one, everyone knows it. It's on the deck sander, it's on the spreadsheet, it's in other videos. This is the cool aggro deck that everyone already knows, but you know what? It's broken. It's broken, so that's why we're going to go over it today. And the more I play, the more I appreciate how strong this deck actually is. So let's go to the card by card, and I'll kind of explain what makes this so broken as we go through it. That's right. So first off, this is Hanaka Ayase. She just gives a card rush, another card on your board rush. This is basically, as you see here, we're playing a total of 7 1-drops. If you open a 1-drop, you almost instantly win, it feels like, especially the Karen Hojo. But yeah, so that's just our 7th 1-drop in the list, and it's got some nice dual function in it. Next up is Kako Takafuji. This is a 1-mana 2/2, just a goblin, but it has the hidden line of text. You can pay 2 to evolve it, which is fine because we're only playing one of the Evo. But on evolve, we can also pay 3 extra to deal 3 damage to the enemy leader. It's a demonic strike on demand. It goes over like wards. It can just seal the game randomly at the end. Otherwise, you don't usually Evo it, but you can if you need that early game pressure. In fact, you might even be willing to bump this up to a 2 if you really want. It's not too bad. Next up is Karen Hojo, 1-mana 3/2. This is a card at the start of your end phase. If there's no other cool followers on your board, this thing takes 1 damage. We don't really care about that. It has a lessen ability. You're never using that. That's fine. More importantly, you just put this thing down on 1. It sticks in for 3. If they don't open, like, specifically snipe, right? And then you just play down a cool follower after it's almost the entire deck is cools. You win the game almost on the spot, it feels like. So yeah, if you can follow this up with like another playable, this thing's really nasty. Like how much damage it can actually convert to. It feels like this deck wins effectively on turn 2 or 3. And then afterwards, your opponent's just kind of sitting there waiting for the end. Next up is Chizuru Matsuo. We're playing 2 of this thing. It just has its Luminous Paladin. It's on play and on death. We're going to be buffing something, but it's got the 3 health, so it's more likely to stick around than Luminous Paladin ever was. And I like that a lot more, because if this thing buffs something, right, but then it's hard to kill itself, we always get to use the 1 attack. And then when it dies, it's after it attacks. Instead of the Luminous Paladin just getting cleared up by everything, this thing's a little bit more sticky, and that's why this deck is really obnoxious for decks to deal with. Next up is Mio Honda, 2-mana 2/1 Storm, but we're really playing this because we have the Mio and the Rin, or sorry, the Uzuki and the Rin, so we're able to get this thing up to a 3/2, but more importantly, it's usually just a 3/1 or a 2/2. On curve, it's okay, but yeah, definitely throughout the game, when you're able to like continuously use this card is where it really shines. We're playing 3 of the now Kamiya. This is another reason that this deck is so strong. It really snuffs out all the other aggro decks with cards like this, where if there's at least 3 IMAS cards on our board, we get to deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. This deck is very good at keeping the tempo in its favor and like reclaiming the tempo, and then just like snuffing out your opponent in a few turns. But yeah, it's like when it goes second, it's able to like put up a board a little bit, and then the numbers line up to where it's very obnoxious to deal with. For other aggro decks, like there's literally no reason to play anything else as far as like aggro at least. Next up is Yukimi Sajo, the 2-mana 2/2. It's got a lesson. We're probably never using this, but you can, where you just make it a little bit bigger. It depends on like what you're trying to go for here, but more importantly, when we evolve it is where things get really strong. On evolve, we're going to be giving another follower on our board 1 attack, rush, and assail. Usually it's about that 1 attack. Sometimes the assail comes up, as you know, like I said, it's about reclaiming the, like, becoming the aggressor, right? So being able to, like, Evo this thing, and then giving a card on our board, assail and rush to be able to, you know, maybe like an unevolved cards like the Karen Hojo here, making it a 4 attack card, right? For only 3 mana plus an Evo Orb, and being able to clear something as strong as like a 4/4 on our opponent's board. And then afterwards being able to, you know, retain the 3/3. Maybe the 4/2 lives. Who knows? Probably not. Or I guess you could kill an Archer, right? This would kill Archer. This little combo here, and then you still have your card on the board. And that's really where the deck excels again. Next up is the Kanade Hayami. This is a 3-mana 3/3, but on evolve it becomes a 4/4 and has less than 2. We're going to get to deal 4 damage anywhere. Once again, Draconeer is broken. This Draconeer does not need a target for the armed weapon, and that's why it's like so powerful. Conditionless Draconeer. You can only do it twice in a game, but that's all you really need. Rin, we've already talked about her in the set review, obviously. 3-mana 3/3. She's got Storm. If you have 3 other cool followers on your board, you get to give another card Storm as well, making it like a combo piece, or if you have like a wide board. And it also has the lesson 1, just to get a little bit extra damage in, you know, just dropping this thing down on 4. You don't have a lot going on, but your opponent's been dealing with your garbage. Just getting the 4 damage in. And then the combo piece in the late game is also like, this card is very strong, but I think that this card by itself is not like, this doesn't break the game. It usually only curves to the same amount of damage as the amount of mana you spend on it. Lingering boards can get like super toxic though with the Karen, but like that means that something had to live. Out of hand on an empty board, usually mana conversion is 1-to-1. Azuki here is 3-mana 3/3. We're going to be able to evolve this for 1. We have lesson 1, heal 1. It's just built in, freeing up your EX area, because when you evolve her, you get to search your deck for either a card with Rin or Mio. Put it into your EX area, and it costs 2 less to play. Your obvious targets are, you have both this Rin and this additional Rin as well. So you have 5 Rin targets on top of the Mio to be able, you know, give this card, this is part of a combo, basically. You get to do that. More importantly, you're probably just usually slamming the Mio or a Rin into your opponent. That seems to be the actual best, just a deck thinner. I don't think you need 3 of these. You usually don't see all 3, but I guess if you see it, you want to use it. So we're on 3 Evos. Ronko, this card is supposed to be the Mirror Breaker. I don't know how good this card is. It is good. It's also slow. There's like times that I have like 2 of it in my hand, and I think it's awful. But there's only 2 of it in the deck. So that could just be me being a little snake bitten. This card, it's 4-mana 3/3, and then basically we can lesson 1 for 1, or lesson 2 for 1 mana. So that's 5 mana to basically play this card. On play, we're going to always deal 2 damage. But then when we lesson, we're going to deal 2 damage twice on top of that. So we're going to get to deal 6 damage in 3 packets, where one of the packets, you can't do it all in one spot. You have to put it at least 2. You can do 4 and 2, or you could do like 2 across the board. And then we also play the Evo. On evolve, we're going to be top checking 4 and putting a card into our EX area. The rest go to grave. It's just a consistency card, digs deeper into our deck. And it's like a slight replenish of the hand in case you draw 2 of this thing. It is fighting with this card for like the amount of lessons you get, but that's generally fine. This card, I'm not sure how good this one is either. Rin Shibuya, 4-mana 4/4. Ward, if there's a follower with Uzuki on its 5 damage, if you got this girl. And but more importantly, if you have Mio Honda, you get to deal 5 damage to the enemy leader. So this card is very potent. You put this thing down on 4 going second, or 5. You put this down on 5 with like something else, right? And then if your opponent doesn't kill it, this converts to 12 damage. You Evo it, that's 4. Mio Honda comes out on strike. She's going to be 3, so that's 7. And then this thing would deal another 5, so that's 12. This card usually doesn't come up, but sometimes you got the Mio Honda in hand, you got this in hand, and you go like, man, I got this 8 damage out of hand on turn 6. Very powerful combo. So yeah, I wouldn't cut this card. Sometimes it feels clunky. I wish that there was like a better way to search it, but you kind of gotta just draw it, is what I felt. Unless you're like storing it with this early. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that or not. I guess it depends on the matchup. If you know it's going to go a little bit longer and slower, maybe you just store it in your EX area and then go from there. Yashua Okazaki. This card is a lot better than I thought it was. It's on play. We get to search our deck for a cool follower with cost 2 or less, summon it, and then shuffle. Just a 4-mana 4/4. But actually, it's like a 4-mana 6/7, because you can search this card here and then ping your opponent's board. And then, yeah, you got 6-7 worth of stats for 4 mana. You ping something on the board because, like, I don't know. Yeah, like a shit card on your board lived, right? Like ISA or something lived. And because of that, your opponent now has to deal with even more stats and their card died. Very potent card. It can also just summon out like this thing to be able to buff your board. There's not a whole lot of options by itself, though. With Evil Orbs, what is good is being able to summon out the Sajo or whatever Yukimi, and then you can make this thing 5 attack if you're like behind on tempo to get like clear something with 5. 5's a big number. Spinaria, a couple other cards, very relevant against. Next up is now Kamiyama. This is our board builder. We have only a couple board builders. It's like these last 3 cards are the things that replenish our boards. And if we don't see these, we kind of lose, but we don't want to see too many of them, right? We want to win in the early game and then use these to like completely seal the deal. We're going to be looking at top 5, and then we get to summon up to 2 cards that cost 4 or less combined. What's nice is if you actually see this card, you can cheat out 6 mana worth of cards. But if you see Rin plus Karen Hojo, that's actually more broken because that's going to be 6 storm damage. Well, this is just going to be a huge board, right? Because it's like, what's this thing, a 3-3? Yeah, 3-3. And then this is like, we've already said this is a 6-7. So, huge board out of nowhere if we see this. And if we hit the absolute nuts, this card can just delete our opponent out of existence. And then another card at the end. This is for the slower matchups, or even for the mirror, where like sometimes you can get into the grind state where like there's a lot of cards that do remove our opponent's board. And we're gonna be able to search for a 3-drop and a 1-drop, put them onto our board, and then whenever something else is put onto your board, you get to deal 2 damage somewhere. Popping a little bit of the board. Usually, what I find out is that if you need this, these cards generally aren't the end of the game for your opponent. But sometimes it's like this thing where your opponent can't kill all 3 of the cards because you've been applying the pressure through the entire game, right? And so this thing like will magically live. And then if you have a second one, it becomes very hard for your opponent to ever build a board again. Because then the second one, you comes down 8 damage across like 4 instances. Very powerful. But yeah, there's the cool deck. You're going to be seeing this a lot. The deck is probably more expensive in English than it was in Japanese, but most of it comes in the trial deck. Not a whole lot of things you need, except for this card. This card's expensive. This card is $5 on TCG Player. Other cards are about what you expect. Buy this, play it. It's broken. You really don't need much else this format. But if you guys like this video, you know, hit that like button, subscribe, and hopefully I get you guys some more decks. They're not going to be as good as this one, but stay tuned. Until then, it's your boy Dean signing out.